How to replace a slip joint P-trap. A lot of times, a slip joint P-trap might leak if the J-bend cracks or one of the washers under the nut breaks. Now this style of trap is very cheap and very easy to replace, so this shouldn't take too long. Now before you do any work on this old trap, you want to plug the drain in the sink. Maybe you could put a stopper in there or just a rag so that way no water can go down here while you're working. After you do that, you can start to loosen the nuts on the J-bend. But you want to have some sort of container under the trap so that way you don't get any water under the cabinet. So I'm going to loosen this middle connection here. That's where the water will be. Now this water level is low, but usually the water level will be up to here. So when you loosen this middle nut, there will be a little bit of water coming out. Okay. Alright, now that we have that connection disconnected, I'll now loosen this connection. This J-bend will drop down, dump it out into your bucket. You won't be needing this bucket anymore. Now that you've done that, this pipe will be hanging down and the wall elbow will be sticking out. Now we're going to remove the wall elbow. You're going to loosen the nut that's closest to the wall, and then the wall elbow will come off. Alright, now you want to save this nut that was on the pipe coming out of the wall because the new traps don't come with those. Alright, now we're just left with this. There will be a nut left on the old pipe coming down, so you want to take that off too. Alright, now we have everything completely removed. Now we can get ready to put in our new trap. Now if you look at this old wall elbow, you'll notice that this has actually been cut short because it was too long for the pipe coming out of the wall. And that's actually pretty common. So what you want to do is when you get your new wall elbow, you want to cut off a section so it's the same length as the old wall elbow. Now it may not always need to be cut, but usually you may need to cut it. Alright, after you have that section cut, we can start putting this wall elbow in place. So you're going to take your old nut that was on the pipe coming out of the wall and you're going to put it back. But before you do, you want to take a new nut that came with the new trap and put it on so the threaded end is facing out. And you can see how that would work. So that way it would connect to the J-bend once we install it. Now you're going to take the old nut and that old washer, put it on. You can just put it anywhere you really want to because we're going to adjust it later. Put it in the wall pipe and loosely tighten this nut. There we go. So it's loosely installed and we can push it in or out if we need to. Now we have this pipe coming down. We're going to take another new nut and another new washer. Put the nut down, the beveled end facing out, and the beveled washer with the beveled end facing out. Alright, we're going to adjust that later also, so just put it kind of a random spot, so that way we can figure out where we want it to go for our J-bend. So slide the J-bend in place, loosely connect this connection, and then connect this connection in the middle. Now this connection is the most important, so if this leaks, then the rest of the assembly is going to leak. Now we're going to adjust this a little bit back, and then we're going to tighten that nut a little bit more. And now we want to tighten this nut all the way. We want to make sure that this nut is all good before you tighten these nuts, because if this nut isn't good and you tighten these ones first, this is going to leak. Alright, hand tighten is good enough. Okay, now I'm going to tighten this nut. The wall connection is actually the one that leaks the least, so that one I'm not too worried about leaking. Make sure everything is aligned properly. Alright, and I'm going to tighten this nut. And that will complete this installation. Now we want to go and run some water to make sure that the trap doesn't leak. Now I only put a little bit of water down. You can see how it's starting to fill up the trap. And once you keep on putting water down, this water seal that keeps the methane back will actually just keep on replenishing as you use the sink.